Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I want to talk about the hair in my lipstick. I want to talk about some of the pitfalls and mistakes that you are making with your makeup and how to fix it. This is all coming after earlier this week, Leslie Munsell, the CEO, founder, and celebrity makeup artist behind Beauty for Real, and I went to a salon and did a whole day of education and classes and demos and workshops on doing makeup on clients, and there was a lot of things that I saw among all of the people there that seemed to be common mistakes they were making, both on themselves or on their clients. So today, whether you are an aspiring makeup artist, a makeup artist who wants to up their game, or just somebody who wants their makeup to look a little bit better, these are going to be the 5 mistakes that you are probably making. So if that's something you're into, make sure to keep on watching, and don't forget to subscribe because I upload every other day. That'll be the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. So if you want to jump into 5 mistakes you are probably making on your makeup or your client's makeup, stay tuned. All right, so the first thing I want to go over is skin prep, most importantly, exfoliation. First off, the amount of models who came in for this class that we were working on, the way the class worked is Leslie and we would do a demo on a technique, and then all of the stylists would go to their models and replicate their version of that technique. And first and foremost, pretty much everybody did not properly prep their client's skin, and the result was patches of dry skin and flaking of the makeup on top because they weren't exfoliating properly. Now, that does not mean you need to strip your skin chemically every single morning, but if you are taking the time to lightly exfoliate your client before you start their makeup, or if it's for your own sake and your own makeup, if you are exfoliating 2 to 3 times a week, your skin will look better and your makeup will sit on it better as well. The challenge with textured skin is makeup is pigment. So if you have a bunch of flaky, peely skin here and you put a bunch of foundation on top, the foundation is going to creep into the in-between of that flaky skin and it's going to show it off even more. Whereas taking a lightweight chemical exfoliator, gently removing that dead skin, everything will sit much better. The second thing is going to be not taking into mind the face or eye shape of the person whose makeup you're doing. The amount of times we see a look on Instagram and I have semi-hooded lids. So when my eyes are completely open, you see a very small amount of my lid. So I can put a whole lot of shimmer down here and you're really not going to see it, which means if I want you to see the shimmer on my eye, I need to take the shimmer all the way up here in order for you to see it when my eye is open. Now, if you have more of either a monolid or you have no hooded eyes at all, then maybe you might do that a little differently. But on my eye shape, I need to take all the way up to about here, the shimmer. And you can see that the shimmer goes all the way up here so that it's there when my eyes open. If I didn't have a hooded lid, I could keep that much lower and blow out the matte shadows a little bit more. Or if I had a monolid and you saw none of this, I might want to take it even higher to make sure that you see it. Not every look I see on Instagram or something that I want to create will work on my eye shape exactly how I see it. So you really want to interpret that. Another thing, I have an oval shaped face. It's even easier to see that when I have a hat on. I have an oval, which means if I take my blush and I put it right here on the apple of my cheek only, I am going to make my face look super, super long, which I don't want to do. We want the face to feel a little bit more rounded. So for that, I really want to concentrate blush here on the sides of the face and the temples, which is going to help angle the face, make it feel a little less bulbous, but also not quite as elongated. Same thing with my eye shape. I always want to go in and I want to connect my shadow to the upper lid, and this is going to give the illusion that my eye kind of turns up at the end. My eyes are not upturned or downturned, they're very lateral, so the shadow is what's going to cheat it to make it look like my eye is upturned. Whereas if you're somebody whose eyes are downturned, you are going to want to go a little more drastic with a wing or something to bring that shape up. Always keep in mind the shape of the face or eye that you're working on. It'll make life go much smoother. The next thing would be understanding what you are doing and why. The first demo we did was bridal, and There were a lot of really beautiful makeup looks that were done by the artists. However, I would say there was maybe one out of the 12 people who actually did something I would consider bridal. A lot of them looked great for somebody who was going on a date night and not necessarily something that was bridal. Now, I do also want to say bridal does not mean a certain type or style of makeup. If you are a bold, I wear a lash and a wing and a bold red lip every day, that could be a bridal look. If you are a lightweight, soft, dewy skin with a nude lip and just a little mascara, that can also be bridal. However, we all know the difference between somebody who looks like them every single day or them looking like the best version of themselves. So while I think my makeup looks okay today, I would say this is date night makeup or even just daytime makeup. This is not what I would consider bridal. I would want to add for myself maybe a half lash on the corner. I would want a little more sparkle on the eye, maybe some liner in the waterline. I would definitely go a little bit heavier on the blush in a more pinky tone. And I would probably go with a softer nude lip, whereas this one's a little more terracotta. On me, that's what I would consider bridal. So understanding what you're doing and why will make a huge difference. Next up, you are probably overusing product. The amount of people who will take like 3 pumps of foundation and start blending a layer of foundation along the entire face in an even layer, that is not how you should be applying your foundation. I get a lot of redness in the center of my face and not a ton on the side. So most days I could just go in with concealer down the middle of my face and just lightly set everything else, and I don't need a full mask of foundation. Now, if you like full coverage and you want a full face of foundation, that's fine. But I don't need the same amount of foundation right here where I have not a lot of color and not a lot of texture, but here I have a ton of redness. So I would want to apply a little bit of foundation in the center and then feather it over everything else. Have a thinner layer where I don't need that much coverage and a thinner layer everywhere else. That is what's going to help you to not look super cakey, because if I don't need a lot of foundation here, why am I going to add more layers just because I have more coverage on another part of my face? That's not how it works. So really taking the time to apply less and apply it where you need it will help. And lastly, it's going to be understanding your client and what they want. The first set of models were a lot of friends and sisters of the stylists who came in to be models for the event. A lot of them ended up looking good, but it wasn't necessarily what, would have worked best for them. The stylist had in their mind that I want this type of look, I'm going to do it. The second batch of models was their moms, their grandmothers, and we were going for a more mature skin, and the second demo was on mature skin. And the younger models and the less mature models in the beginning would sit down and tell the stylist, oh, you can do whatever, have fun, it's fine. And because of that, I think the makeup didn't look as good because the stylist just did whatever. Whereas in the second session, the mature models were saying, I don't love this kind of foundation, I don't want a full face of this, I don't like a clumpy lash like that. And when the stylists were reined in a little bit, the makeup looked so much better because it wasn't just them trying to translate what they were thinking onto somebody's face. It was them collaborating and speaking with the client or the model in the chair to figure out, we don't want to go super full coverage, we want to go with these type of colors, because those women not only knew what colors worked best on them because they'd been wearing them for years, they were also not afraid to share that information. So I think one of the hardest things as a makeup artist is when somebody sits in your chair and says, oh, I don't care, just have fun. Because yes, it's fun to play, but I don't always think that that's going to be the strongest move for the artist. I will say that not all of this applies to every single instance. There are super creative avant-garde makeup artists who can really see color theory and will do an amazing job on their client, even if their client has no input on what they're doing. But I will always say that if you don't have that skill or you don't see how an undertone might translate to what sort of lip color you should be choosing, then that's where you have a conversation with who you're doing the makeup for of what sort of colors do you normally wear, what color eyeshadow do you typically like. For years, my mom wore purple and mauve eyeshadows. That's pretty much all she wore. When I was young, had no idea that it was because she has cool toned skin and green eyes. both of which work very well with mauve and purple eyeshadows. It makes her green eyes look greener, and it helps her skin because she has a pink undertone. Now, I would have thought, what about a golden smoky eye? And gold and green do look good next to each other, but on her complexion, it would have washed her out. So understanding these things are really going to help you take your makeup to the next level. Please sound off down below with some of the advice you have for other aspiring makeup artists, or some things that you have questions on that you'd like me to answer. Sound off in the comment section, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!